Hello, enthusiast English lovers, and welcome to you, new passionate English lovers. And what I want to tell you is remember to subscribe now to keep the conversation going and to listen to this very helpful and I think meaningful topic about how I was able to transition from translating in my native language, Italian, to English. And one day, not one day. It was a very long process, but I was able to start thinking in English. But first of all, I had to challenge my assumptions to keep moving forward. If you don't know what an assumption is, it is a belief. So I strongly believe that I've been doing everything that I could to master most of the aspects of the English language, countless of activities, exercises around grammar, vocabulary, writing, listening. But at the end of many English conversations, I didn't feel satisfied. There was something that it wasn't working properly for me, and I needed to change something. One day, all of a sudden, I realized that I was struggling a lot when I have to transition from one grammar structure to another. And so I told myself, no more grammar in isolation. Transitioning between verb tenses was essential to level up my speaking skills tremendously. But there was another crucial aspect. Fortunately, I was making some recording of myself when I was training by myself, speaking aloud, enjoy the freedom of speaking. But I noticed later on that I was mispronouncing the same word again and again. So let's summarize. First of all, I started to switch from one verb tense to another. And second of all, I started to pay more attention to which kind of words I was mispronouncing many times. Let's talk now about something very practical. In Italian language, we can use the present perfect to talk about the past. We can do it. So, for example, I have been to Paris yesterday. So we know that when we talk about the present perfect, we talk about something that happened in the past and that is still relevant to the present. But when we say yesterday, we can't use the present perfect. And instead of that, we have to use the past simple. I was in Paris yesterday, or I went to Paris yesterday. The real game changer was how can I overcome this limit? I mean, my Italian limit, how to overcome those boundaries and being able not to focus on every single grammar structure and being trapped over there forever and switch to another kind of mentality. And when I was by myself practicing, making a lot of repetitions, making mistakes that are a valuable part of the process, I developed one step at a time this ability to listen to myself through my recordings, what it wasn't working properly at that moment. By the way, I've been keeping practicing a lot, training a lot, learning a lot, adapting, change. And after a while, I was able to start thinking in English, or most of the time. I was able to do that because before starting talking about something, I was thinking about the entire picture, the entire scenario of the topic that I want to talk about. Instead of focusing on a specific grammar structure or a vocabulary or about how many mistakes I made or this kind of negative thoughts, I'm not good enough, I was focusing on which kind of short story I want to tell. So the story, the narrative, the storytelling is more important than sometimes I say grammar or vocabulary. Of course, it's essential to master at least the basic grammar structures that we use more often and pay attention to how we pronounce a word, to implement our vocabulary. Everything is very important. But at the same time, your narrative, what you want to say, how you want to say it, how you want to develop your thoughts, that no more sentences, grammar structures, verb tenses in isolation, but everything is connected. And by doing this, believe me, everything has changed for me, and everything it could change for you. I'm inviting you to incorporate this kind of learning, practicing, training in your daily habits. You have to be consistent, resilient, persistent, and in the long run, you're going to get long-lasting results. At least you're going to become more confident and for sure clearer than ever before. At some point of our ongoing process, we have to acknowledge that the implementation of our speaking skills is a never-ending process. But there's still another tip that I want to share with you, very precious and valuable for the long term. Internalize these valuable grammar structures, verb tenses, pronunciation, and vocabularies. It's your getaway to limitless confidence, creativity, and clarity. By the way, I'm going to keep waiting for your feedback, comments, opinions that are really precious to the ongoing process of our storytelling that I mentioned at the beginning. We are going to build together one step at a time. In the meantime, if you want to understand a little bit more about vocabulary and enlarge your abilities, you can watch the video where I was talking about vocabulary always available and accessible. And on the other side, there is another captivating video about authenticity versus perfection. Thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next episode.